Hello, everyone. Welcome into part 3 of episode 3 in season 2 of the Four Quarters podcast powered by Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, with you here once again, rounding out a trifecta of fantastic interviews from across the CCAA to cap off episode 3. In part 1, you heard from Capilano Blues men's basketball head coach Cassidy Kandemeyer. In part 2, you heard from Lambton Lions guard / forward / entrepreneur Mason Hyde. And in this edition, part 3, you will hear from University of Toronto-Mississauga Eagles guard Janella Viado. Again, capping off a fantastic day of interviews and episodes. But again, if hopefully you've listened to parts 1 and 2, you will already know that all 3 of these episodes were recorded between June 4th and June 6th. So Thursday to Saturday, discussions were had on potential of any sort of 2020-21 season. That could very well be a dated conversation by the time you're listening to the interview. With COVID-19 being an ever-changing situation, seems like by the hour, who knows what information has come out since then. So if anything has changed from Esports, CCAA, leagues saying they're going to play in the fall, they're going to cancel the fall, what have you. If anything's changed for the good, bad, whatever, apologies in advance. Hopefully it's not too far off the conversation, but the conversations were had and some opinions were discussed. So if anything's wrong, apologies now. But in part 3, with Janella Viado at a UTM, we looked at the Eagles and their progression in being a newer program in the OCAA, going from the West Division in 2018-2019 to the East Division in 2019-2020 for some divisional realignments, number of teams, location, what have you. They went 10-6, finished 4th in the East Division, which is, I think, their best record that they have had since they joined the OCAA, started competing in the league. Unfortunate way to end, lost an 8-point game at home to Sheridan in their crossover game, which is a bad way to go out, but given their growth as a program, which we'll hear Janella touch on in the interview as well, they have a lot to build on. And the season really showed how well the team came together and how they had more cohesion than they had the year before. And Janella stepping into a veteran role in a second year, really taking on more of a leadership role, and having been in the West Division the year before, it's a different look in the East and how they were able to adapt and change and evidently be successful. The 10-6 record beat a great George Brown team in their second game of the regular season, so something to hang our hat on there. And we talked about kind of what it's like to play with a player like Jade Samuels, who was the East Division scoring champion for a reason, fantastic player in her own right, who is now graduated from the program. So it's a bit of a transition time as well for the Eagles. Kind of looked at that as well, what we can look ahead to from UTM and Janella and their new recruiting class. They have several first years coming in, and got her thoughts as well, like I said off the top, on what a potential 2020-21 season could look like. And similar to the chat with Mason Hyde in part 2, looked at some workouts that she is doing at home to stay game ready. Just, you never know when you can get into a gym again. You don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball and not put in any work right now just because you don't think there's going to be a season. So again, a fantastic interview to cap off a 3-interview day. So with that in mind, let's jump right in now to part number 3 to complete the hat trick in episode 3 with UTM Eagles guard Janella Viado. Enjoy. All right, so I'm now thrilled to be joined by University of Toronto-Mississauga Eagles guard Janella Viado. Janella, first off, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day. We are recording this early Saturday morning, so I apologize to get you up on a weekend. How are things going with you on your end?
It's been pretty tough. Thank you for having me, first of all. And I've just been staying home. This is probably the longest I've been staying home for a while because I'm usually at UTM. Yep. So I had to adjust I guess.
It's a big adjustment
um,
when you go to school and you're away and you're not
yeah,
home, and then now you wake up one day and everything's shut down and you're just back at home every minute of
yeah.
every
It's
day.
just with school and everything, it's
Hmm.
really hard because everything's online and you can't really see anyone face to face, and that social interaction is just deprived.
You never really realize how much you rely on that social interaction until it gets taken away, and it's probably
Yeah,
one of the things that we never thought would get taken away, and now it's you look at people through a screen every day,
you
and
know.
it's like I've said it before to people, like I'm going to forget how to talk to people in person when
Yeah,
this is all over, like because now there will be no microphone in front, it's actually you and a person. I don't know
yeah,
how that's going to go. I have no idea.
yeah, for real.
what's what's
It's
been the
been tough.
biggest adjustment for you then, I guess, going back home and trying to work out, stay in shape for game season? What's been the biggest and toughest adjustment for you making
The
that transition
toughest
home?
adjustment. So the toughest adjustment would be obviously we weren't well, I'm not able to touch a court at all,
Mm-hmm.
especially even outdoors. Like I'm not able to practice the way I usually practice or train the way I usually train. And
Mm-hmm.
ways that I'm improving is things that I wouldn't do normally. So or more so normally,
Mm-hmm.
like watch a lot of game tape and
Okay.
do hit workouts. I never do hit
Okay.
workouts, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of strength as well to keep my body in shape and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, get ready for the next season if we have one.
I guess it's just kind of use whatever you have at home just to try and get any sort of activity, whether it's like you said, hit workouts, cardio, game film, just to keep ready just in case. Like you said, hopefully there is some
Yeah,
sort of season this year. I don't know what it's going to look like. If it's going to be a January, if it's who knows at this point. We have no
yeah.
idea.
I know a lot of schools already said that their classes are going to take place online in the fall.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's not looking the greatest.
No, I think with a lot of people, like you said, either going all online or half online, have your labs
Hmm.
in school, doesn't bode well for fall sports. But
Yeah,
I'm trying to stay optimistic for my sanity, for everyone else's sanity, for players like yourself who want to play a full year and not
yeah,
have to wait another 4 months. It's already tough as it is. Then if you delay that even
hmm,
longer, I don't know how I don't know how
yeah.
people are going to stay home that much longer and do online classes and not drive everybody else in their house insane.
Right. But I mean, anything could happen, and at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, it's everyone's health and safety is the most important.
Mm-hmm.
And when COVID subsides, like hopefully soon, like we're able to make a big comeback.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have any sort of what normal was before this happened. It's obviously a
Yeah,
lot of it's going to change, but like you said, health and safety is by far the top priority. And who knows when you guys can even get back in the gym and play 1-on-1 or 3-on-3, or are they going to make players wear
hmm,
masks? Like who knows what's going to happen at this point? Like that would I don't think you can wear a mask as you when you play because you can't breathe. It's going to be too tough when you're
right.
running up and down the floor. You'll be gassed in 30 seconds.
Yeah, the NBA is coming back soon though, so
That's exciting. I mean, if they can come back on that large scale,
very
maybe
soon too.
like end of June, I think, like the 21st, I think it is, or something like that.
Oh, already? Oh, I
Maybe
thought it
maybe
was
it's
in
July.
July, but
Maybe it's July. Sorry, I got my months mixed up. It's COVID. They're all the same at
it's
this point.
already.
Like it's already like we're doing this on
Hmm.
June 6th. Like it feels like everything just closed like 2 weeks ago. Like it's
Yeah,
all of a sudden June, and at this
yeah,
rate, NBA will be back in 2 weeks. Is what it's going to feel like.
that's crazy.
But
But
if
yeah, like they're probably not gonna have. They're not gonna have fans in the stands, right? And
no,
I don't know how that's gonna turn out.
they talked about.
They're thinking of
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
They're thinking of using NBA 2K audio
Mm-hmm.
for in replace to replace the the
I
fans
don't I don't know how I'd like that.
cheering and
I don't
stuff.
know how I'd like that.
I don't know either. It's either that or silent NBA games.
I don't see, like, would they still have the music going? I would hope they'd have music, like in-house
Probably.
music,
Yeah.
but I mean then it's just
It's just
10 guys on
music.
a court playing basketball with some music in the background. I don't know. I think
It's like a
I would take anything over nothing at this point.
yeah. I tried to keep up with I think they did the NBA 2K series,
Mm-hmm.
the championships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was different. It wasn't the same at all.
No, and you have like the NASCAR and IndyCar esports racing. That's the
Yeah.
soccer with no fans in Germany. Like I
Yeah.
don't watch soccer at all, and I've wasted a couple Saturdays now just watching 11-on-11 soccer with nobody in the stands, just because it's live sports. And if they can do that on a large scale, maybe we can do it at schools where it's no fans, just
Hmm.
something of live sport. Anything would be great at this
Yeah.
point. I'm
Yeah.
starving for sports.
Me too, man. Me too.
Looking back at this year for you guys, you were 10-6, finished fourth in the East. Bit
Hmm.
of an
Hmm.
unfortunate ending. Dropped your crossover game to Sheridan, which
Yep.
probably left a little bit of a bitter taste in some mouths. Just kind of want to get your overall thoughts on how you thought the season played out and how you ladies performed over the course of the year.
Looking back at the past year, like you said, we were 10-6,
Mm-hmm.
and by far, I'm pretty sure that was our best record we've had since we started competing in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually helped us be able to compete in first round playoffs, which is also something that we never experienced before.
Yep.
And we had a bunch of award winners like Jade, who was league scoring champion, first
Yep.
team All-Star, Samuels, who was defensive player of the year, and
Mm-hmm.
our first year, Avery Torek, who was on the East rookie team.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, what really helped us this season from what I saw was the commitment from each of our players and coaches and making sure that we were on the same page to improve together from
Mm-hmm.
the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have included like prioritization, academics, and also making sure that we were not only physically prepared, but mentally prepared as
Mm-hmm.
well. And whenever other events that happened outside of the team, I think that we did a good job looking out and being able to be available for each other. So that success that came from this season really reflected from how cohesive our team was. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And even if the ending didn't go your way against Sheridan, having that experience now of playing in a crossover game and having it be
Yeah.
a close game, you have a better understanding, I guess, for lack of a better term, of what it takes to get past that crossover game. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's the best record you guys have had since you guys have been competing in the OCAA, and having that taste of the postseason in a crossover game. You now have that experience that you can't buy it. You can't just make it up. You have that under your belts now,
Mm-hmm.
and something to build on for next year, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's all right. Kind of like you already touched on it, kind of cohesiveness on a team level, and kind of what stood out for you as a key to the team's overall success. For you personally, what stood out for
Yeah.
you in your own development going from first year in 2018-19 to last year? What did you see in your own game or your own leadership, personal development that really stood out to you as some keys to your growth?
So in the 2018-2019 season, I was a first year,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for every first year, it's really hard to adjust from high school to post-secondary. So
Mm-hmm.
the transition was a lot to handle for me, and to be able to focus on so many different things and be able to perform the way I want to in practices and games. And I remember being so nervous in terms of making mistakes on the court or worrying about not contributing
Mm-hmm.
enough for the team. And thankfully, I was put in a position where I had to get out of my comfort zone and kind of find my rhythm with the team and where my role was.
Okay.
And I think it was really great that I was exposed to being a starting guard in my first year.
Mm-hmm.
But usually that meant kind of like my matchups were against like veteran point guards in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I felt like my weakest point was finding that confidence in myself to be able to perform at my full potential. And
Mm-hmm.
the past season in 2019 to 2020, that's where I kind of gained a lot more confidence
Mm-hmm.
because of the 2018-2019 season.
Yep.
And I knew I was able to help, especially in leading the team in the right direction in order to get where we wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that be like being accountable for others, working hard in practices and training sessions, taking care of my body, etc. And I knew what to expect and the expectations that were coming from my coaches and how much they believed in me, and that really pushed myself to believe in myself
Mm-hmm.
the past season to do what I needed to do. So.
Well, in your first year as well, you guys were in the West Division, if I'm not mistaken, and then
Yes,
you
yes,
guys switched over to the East. So it was, I think the West is a bit different than the East,
very different. Yes.
and I think the West kind of gets more of the attention, but not to like slight the East in any means. They're both
Mm-hmm.
talented leagues, but I think the West has top to bottom maybe a few stronger guards, if you will. I think the East
Yes.
has the better forwards with hands down. Still have their strong guards, but you go in
Yeah.
your first year in UTM and you're playing a Fanshawe with Michaela Wright and Shuangu and Humber with Jay Giles and just essentially
Mm,
thrown in the deep end and learn to
very
swim on your own.
intimidating.
Learn to swim on your own and hope you float
Yeah.
at this point.
Yep. Pretty much.
But I think too, like you said, also the experience and kind of you learned and kind of I guess the coaches have the trust in you to throw you out there, and I guess you learn by playing against the best that the league has to offer, and
Yeah.
you've seen it. You've seen your development grow from last year to this year, and it's hopefully only going to continue as you go forward.
Yeah. Hopefully, like that past year, like you said, like in the West Division, like
Mm-hmm.
I was exposed to a lot of intimidating point guards and guards.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really hard for me to not be afraid of them, you know?
Yep. And like you said, like you're going to have your jitters when you first start, and as a first year guard, the high school game to college game, it's
It's
incredibly
different.
different. It's so
Hmm.
different, and they're a lot stronger, older, more experienced. And once you get the first game or two out of the way, it's just basketball at the end of the day. And there's everyone's
Yep.
going to have their mistakes, but I guess, like you said, playing against the best that the West has to offer on a regular basis, you either have to be ready or you're going to get eaten alive, for lack of better analogy. But
Yeah.
like the East too, like it helps you prepare for the East with like players like Rita Sebo at Algonquin and
Hmm.
Zay Sellers at George Brown. Like there's a ton of talent across the league that I think goes
Yeah.
unnoticed. And I've said that too many times to try and get people to pay attention to the OCAA.
Zay Sellers is she played her last year, right?
Yeah.
That was this year, the past year. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that's a bit of
remember
sigh of relief
when
for
we
the rest of
played
the
against
league.
her. Yeah. Yeah. I knew her from beforehand, just
Okay.
stats wise and how she was as a
Mm-hmm.
player. I remember that one game when we were away. We were at George Brown,
Mm-hmm.
and afterwards she exchanged a few words with me, and she was saying how I thought I didn't do really good that game, but
Okay.
she came and uplifted me, and I fangirled for a moment because I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah.
And she told me that I was a really good guard and I held myself together, which was really nice to hear.
That's good. You don't really hear those stories because a lot of those one-on-one post-game conversations are secret for the most part. But that's a testament to her and her
Yeah.
character as well to be able to go or be willing to go out of her way to acknowledge you and your talents and for you thinking you didn't play as well as you could and then to hear that from someone of her caliber, that's got to be a nice boost for yourself.
Yeah, very, very much so because I look up to her as well.
Mhm.
So it was really nice to hear from someone that who's been in the league for a long time, and me just kind of starting out like that.
I was going to save it for the end. We had a few questions come in online as well, but one of them was around, since you had been in the West and the East,
Mm.
one of the who are some of the tougher players that you've had to guard against?
The East and the West,
Yeah,
like
if you have
both on both
from
ends.
each, or if you have two from the West that are stronger than the East, kind of whatever you think.
Zay Sellers, of
Mm-hmm.
course.
Mm-hmm.
um, from Humber, they had I forget the names slip up for me, but
That's okay.
their Humber point guard, I think I forgot her name though, but she was also really good. Like I said, like the talent
Mm-hmm.
on both ends is always competitive, and they're usually, like I said, like veteran point guards, so
Mm-hmm.
they would know more than I would,
Yeah.
especially in the league.
Yeah.
And I can't pinpoint guards, but Sydney, I forgot her last name, Sydney from Sheridan. She's also a very good
Sydney Charvis.
point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. She's very tough, and I also look up to her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who else is point guard that
I think
stood out?
that's just a testament to the league as a whole, with
Yeah.
how talented it is. Like every night, you have to be ready to go, or else
Mm-hmm.
whoever's on the opposite side of you is gonna go to work. And
Yeah.
I think that's top to bottom in the league, regardless of if you're Algonquin and Fanshawe or down to the Sioux, who has struggled the last few years.
Yeah.
There's guards in the league that are they're just gonna go to work if you have an off day, and they're gonna pick you apart. And I think that's the fact that it's tough to pinpoint one or two or three
Mm-hmm.
just shows that the league is so deep, especially at the guard spot. And there's a lot of people that don't really realize that about the league. And I think with guards in the league having a tough time picking who's the toughest, just the league as a whole is tough.
They're all talented. They're
Mhm.
very talented. I
Everybody
think that's
everybody brings their own.
overlooked, like as
Mhm.
you said.
Everybody brings their own little bit to the table, something
Yeah.
different that you have to be ready for. Looking
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at your backcourt with yourself and Jade, probably one, like, again, overlooked, probably one of the better backcourt tandems in the league. What allowed both of you to be so successful?
Um, First of all, Jada is an amazing player, and I'm so thankful to have been given that opportunity to compete beside her and learn what it means to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And from the start, I think Jada and I had a good bond, and I think that's been shown through the way we play together.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that her strengths are obviously scoring and her speed on both ends, and my strengths were more so doing the little things that kind of run the engine on the team. So I think that the trust we built early on and understanding how we both play allowed us to combine each other's strengths and help the team win. And
Mm-hmm.
like most of the time I'd probably receive the ball from like a defensive rebound, and before I even move towards the other end, I already know Jade's running towards the basket, so I just launch the ball in her hands and she does what she does best. So
Okay, it's kind of feed off one another a little bit. You kind of have your established roles, know who does what, and just kind of feed off one another. And
mm-hmm.
the end result is one of the best tandems in the league.
Yeah, we I'm very sad that she graduated this year,
Mm-hmm.
so it's gonna be different, a lot different next year.
It's going to be an adjustment to find, and it's not like you're not trying to replicate Jade. It's because it's not going to
No.
happen. I mean, she's, like you said, scoring champion. She's quick. She's a fantastic player. You got to find your team's new Jade, I guess, and everybody has their own talents, and try to replace it by allowing others to shine through. And it's going to be different not seeing Jade on the floor. That's for sure. At least from a fan perspective, anyways.
Yeah.
can only imagine as a player what it's going to be like not having her on the floor anymore.
Yeah, we lost like 5 of our senior players too.
Hmm.
So
I
we
think
got to rebuild from that.
the East is another sigh of relief from the East, not having to face you and Jade every game this year.
Yeah.
One's hard enough with you coming back. If you had two coming back again, it'd be tough, real tough.
I mean, Acacia Moore Samuels, she's
Hmm.
playing again next year as well.
Hmm.
So I think she's a very defensive threat, obviously, and
Hmm.
she can also score pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For you going into next season, obviously COVID has, like we said off the top, put a damper on workouts
Mhm.
and ability to get into a gym and get shots up. And you've been putting in the work at home to try and stay as healthy and as fit as you can, get ready for the season. Continuing on your development from year 1 to 2, what are your personal goals for this season or this off season as you work towards your third year?
So heading into year 3,
Mhm.
the goal for me especially is to be physically stronger and mentally prepared for whatever happens in the season, if we have a season.
Yeah, it's true.
Um, my knees especially are pretty weak, and it gets bad when I'm faced with practices, games, training back to back in a week, and
Hmm.
it really restricts me sometimes from performing the way I want to. So that's a huge focus for me,
Okay.
personally.
Hmm. And kind of as the team for yourself, what are your kind of goals for the team overall?
In terms of the team, and like I said, losing 5 of our seniors,
Hmm.
my goal for the team is to build from what we accomplished the past year and achieve even greater heights with the new recruits, and possibly being able to push ourselves to make it to playoffs again and have the opportunity to possibly compete further if we can.
Hmm. Yeah, I think like a lot of this all, like we've said several times, hinges on whether or not we have any sort of season. Like I'm sure we
Yeah.
will have some sort of OCAA season, whatever it is. We have no clue. But like you said, having the 5 graduating players leave, it's going to be an adjustment for the returnees. And but like you said, like then the rookies are going to get put into spotlight right away, kind of like you did in your first year. They're going to get thrust into roles that they may not
Yeah.
have expected, and they can probably lean on you and others who have been in that exact same position 2 years ago, playing first game, big minutes as a first year, draw on your experience and hopefully make that transition a little bit easier from the high school game to college.
Yeah. That summer when we gained our 4 first years,
Hmm.
before the 2019-2020 season,
Hmm.
like I already saw that determination in them, and they really played a big role in what we were able to accomplish this season.
Hmm.
And that talent that was added on the team, it's what we thought we really needed, and
Hmm.
what pushed the returning players as well as our coaches to also have that determination and confidence to do good. So I don't think their transition is going to be probably as nerve wracking as mine was, but I have full confidence in them to
Hmm.
do whatever we can.
And that's good. Like you said, there's a lot of people like the 4 first years from last year that have had the same experiences. So there's a lot of people that they can lean on for inspiration because they're gonna have the jitters first night. It's inevitable, regardless of what year you're in. The jitters
Mm,
always come back first game because you're excited, the adrenaline's there, but you have that cohesion in the team. Like everybody's a family, essentially, like you said
yeah,
before, and everybody works together, and that helps and that feeds through from top to bottom. And the first years are going to see that whenever you guys can get into the gym, that you guys are a cohesive unit and they're going to buy in a lot quicker. And I think that's going to help their transition and, like you said, make it a bit easier than what you had when you came in first year.
yeah.
2 more questions that came in online for you. Who is your biggest basketball inspiration?
My biggest basketball inspiration
Mhm.
is LeBron James.
Okay.
Um, Mostly because the first time I started getting into basketball,
Mhm.
I was playing house league.
Mhm.
Um, so I wasn't really thinking about playing in the future. It was more so kind of like a side thing that I would be
Okay.
doing for physical activity.
Mhm.
And the moment I remember seeing when LeBron was on the Heat with the
Mhm.
big three,
Mhm.
that's when I fell in love with basketball, and
Okay.
he inspired me to want to kind of um, pursue it in my future careers. So that's also a reason why my jersey number is number 6 because of
Okay.
when LeBron was in Miami. So yeah.
Mhm. Now, what are your future goals? You want to continue with basketball and school's done, or what is the future goal for Janella Viado?
Um, I haven't really thought
That's hey.
what basketball would be,
Mhm.
whether it be professionally or just playing whenever I can in the
Mhm.
future. I haven't really thought of where I would be in the
Okay.
next 3 years, 3, 4
Mhm.
years, but I should probably start thinking about that soon.
Eh, we've got time. Now with LeBron being your inspiration, have you watched The Last Dance yet?
Of course, I've
Okay.
watched The Last Dance. Yes.
Okay. Now, are you LeBron or Michael for
Oh.
greatest of all time?
For the GOAT, I would actually give that to Michael Jordan,
Okay. Okay.
which is very surprising. The only reason why is because I think that Michael kind of achieved so much, and not to say that LeBron wouldn't isn't going to achieve as much as he did, but
Hmm.
right now Michael Jordan has so many achievements under his belt, and I think the league then and now is really different.
Yep.
And the things that Michael had to go through, I wouldn't say it was a lot tougher, but it was a lot different.
Yeah.
And especially with his Michael's a lot smaller than LeBron, so it's kind of amazing how he could accomplish all that from where he stood, because he was a fairly skinny guy
Yeah. He
until
wasn't. He
he
wasn't
started
very
working out.
muscular. No.
Yeah, he wasn't that muscular. It was all talent. And
Hmm.
imagine if he could have the build like LeBron has right now.
Hmm.
That would be different.
And with the physical abuse that he took inside
Exactly. Yeah.
against the Pistons, like he would have had that build at the start. Who knows how many championships he would have had? Like, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
6-0 in championship series is a feat in itself. But imagine if he got there at least 2 or 3 more times because he was a bit bigger. Like he would
Yeah.
have been able to withstand so much more. But I mean, if the Pistons would have hit me once, I probably would have quit. Like there's no way I'm gonna survive that physicality for 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Not a chance. Not a chance.
I think they were out for Michael. They really wanted to,
Hmm.
like take him off his game, literally.
Well, if you shut him down, then they didn't have really anybody else at that time when he
Yeah.
first got started, and then they
Mhm.
built around it after the fact. But you take him out, and that's your game. If that's your game plan, is just to take him out at all costs.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You would never see that these days in this game. It's not nearly as physical as it was.
Yeah.
And second one, last one that came in for you. What can fans expect from the Eagles in 2020-21?
Um, what they can expect.
Mm-hmm.
Who? So I guess if we do have that season, we are
Mm-hmm.
a newer program, so
Mm-hmm.
um, have been trying to develop and really build that foundation through our student athletes and drawing attention for future students to come and support that program in any way. I think that what we can expect is, I guess, more hard work, and basically like a new team that's coming into the season,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just we're hungry for more, you know.
Mm-hmm. Ready to build off of, you said, best record you guys have had since you've been competing at
Yeah.
10-6. Continue that forward progression, and even this year, like you said, you guys have been competitive against the top teams in that East Division with Algonquin, Durham, George Brown. Beat George Brown in your second game of the year. Out of that top 4 or 5 in that East, you can add Loyalist in the mix too, to a sense. They kind of
Mm.
faltered down the stretch, but I think the East gets overshadowed by the West, given Fanshawe, Humber,
Yeah.
their success at nationals, provincials. That could bode well for the East because it does get overshadowed. So you guys can fly under the radar a bit, but also want
Mm.
people to start watching the East a lot more because there is a ton of talent in the league, in the
Yeah.
division, that doesn't get the attention it deserves. So, like you said, you guys are a newer program coming off your best season so far. That's something to watch. And to build on that for next year, I think you hit it on the head. Just, you guys are hungry for more and you want to build off it and continue that progression. And like you said, compete at, hopefully get to provincials and move a step forward and try and compete further than that.
Yeah, I think this year we really made a statement for our team and had
Mm-hmm.
ourselves a little bit more known.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully next year we do what we can to get to the top.
Mm-hmm. I'll leave it with you. Any last words on the Eagles, on your development, anything you want to add that we may have missed or left out?
Um, I miss everyone from the UTM Eagles, and I miss basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hopefully, I can get to see everyone soon, and we can get basketball going again. Because yeah, I really miss it.
I think you are not alone in that group. I think there are a lot of people who just want to get back in the gym, get shots up, whether it's outside, whatever, just
Yeah,
want to get some sort of basketball back in their lives
yeah,
for sure.
it's tough. Mm,
Like you can't, like there's only so much you can do inside. You can't, like it's, you said it, it's tough. It is beyond tough. And with how it turned out, like everything shut down within like 2 days because of Rudy Gobert. Eh, it's like that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and now everything's been. I still can't believe it's been 3 months. I can't fathom where the last 3 months have gone.
yeah, and it goes both ways. Like
Mm-hmm.
it feels it feels like we've been in here for so long, but the time flew so fast.
It's true. It's sad now that I look forward to the one grocery trip a week because you can actually get out and see other faces, even though you can't talk to them or hug them or whatever. You have to stay 6 feet away. Just the fact that you know there's still other people out there in the world and you can actually see somebody else's face, that's sad. You
Yeah,
take that for granted on a regular day. And now it's like the highlight of my week to get outside.
yeah. My whole family's working, so I'm
Okay.
usually the only one at.
Mm-hmm. That'd be tough to be the only one home. I guess, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I mean, it'd be a lot tougher if everybody was just home all the time, and then you're just constantly on each other's nerves. I feel like. I
Yeah,
feel like.
I mean, I'm kind of like a dog, so my face lights up when my brother comes home, and so it's that little social interaction that I needed, you know.
Yeah, people. You hear someone come in the door, and you just run downstairs to see who it is.
Yep.
Get excited just to see somebody's back home with you. Oh,
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
it's
Janella, I
okay.
want to thank you for taking time out of your day early on this Saturday morning to do this. Really appreciate you shedding some light on the Eagles and what you guys are building as you guys head into what we hope is a full 2020-21 season. All the best to you and your family, and stay safe. And hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. No worries. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, just I hope everyone stays safe and we'll get through this together. And yeah.
I think that's the key word. We got to get through it together. We can't do it on our own. It's got to be one collective
Mhm.
push to get back to some sort of normalcy.
Yeah.